Hello, everyone. This is Kim Quady with KimPlaysWithPaper.com. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Mesa, Arizona, and I love to come live to show you what I've been working on in my craft room. So last week I had some classes, and this week I have one more, and I was inspired by a card or a technique that Sarah Douglas, Stampin' Up! CEO, shared on her Facebook Live a number of weeks ago. And while I didn't have the same products that she did, I really wanted to try it. And everybody who came to class really loved this technique. And they were really surprised about how easy and how much of a wow it packed. Hey, Don. Hey, Melinda. Thanks so much for popping in today. If I missed you, I'll come back in the comments. Hey, Sue. Thanks for joining. I'll come back in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. Comments. Let me know where you're from. Hope all is well wherever you are. So let's just pop down and I will show you what I'm talking about. It's a super fun technique. It's a Christmas card. It's almost time for that. Come on, there we go. Alrighty. We are going to be using Stampin' Up's Merriest Trees, the stamp set, and the dies found on page 78 of the annual catalog. So here's the stamp set. I'm going to be using that sentiment here, as well as the that big tree die. This also has a lot of smaller tree dies, a tag. It was available last year. It carried over. It's really very nice and very lots of opportunities to use it in many different ways. Hey, Kathy, thanks so much for joining. I hope all is well in Ohio today. We've had almost, many days of 90 and above, but today it's only going to be 70. So that's kind of a switch for us. We'll have to get our coats out. So the technique that Sarah Douglas showed was embossing on glimmer paper. It's something that not a lot of us had even thought about trying because we didn't think it was possible. She showed some different products, and so I was thinking, what do I have that I can use to do this same really cool technique? And that's the important thing to remember, that when you watch videos, you may not have everything that I'm showing you. So you kind of have to get your wheels turning a little bit and see exactly what you have in your stash to do the same technique. Wow, 80 in West Virginia. Enjoy. All right, so this is another version of that. So let me just show you how that goes together. Let me get my pieces. So, of course, I have my, hey, Barb, thanks for popping in. I have my thick basic white cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4.25. I always like to use my bone folder to give that a good burnish. Then I have a 5 by 3.75 piece of basic white paper. Hey, Connie. Hope all is well in Wyoming. And I have embossed that with the Snowflake Sky 3D embossing folder. I have a piece of, now you can either use real red or cherry cobbler. I'm just reading Dawn's comment that it's 83 in Lincoln, Nebraska today, 58 tomorrow. She gives... It's cinnamon roll and chili time. That is one thing. When I moved to Nebraska, that's one thing I couldn't get used to, was cinnamon and chili rolls. I like them separately, but not together. So that's a running. Anybody else who eats that? So that one's cherry cobbler. So I digress. And that one's real red. So I'm going to be using real red. If you want to use cherry cobbler, if that's what you have, that would be great. So that piece measures 5 inches by 1 3/4. And then this designer series paper also measures 5 inches by 1.5. And that's from the Seasons of Green and Gold Specialty Designer Series paper. I like that plaid. It's very basic. The other side is nice and gold. So these just now go together. And then we'll get to the fun part of the embossing. And if you miss the directions, please check my blog at kimplayswithpaper.com. Or if I say something that needs clarification, please let me know in the comments or send me a message. Hey, Fran, thanks for joining. Making a fun little Christmas card with a fun technique. Inspired by Sarah Douglas, CEO of Stampin' Up. And other demonstrators were also inspired. So if you watch a lot of videos, you may have also seen some of their other ideas. Hey, Kathy, thanks for joining. So I've just used what I have in my stash. So when I put a layer like this on, I do like to line the paper up on the grid lines. And so if I go like 2 boxes over, then I can measure that at the top and the bottom to know that I have that on straight. Hey, Linda, thanks for joining. So then I'll just put this on the old olive. I have a piece of old olive by my side that's 5 1/4 by 4. And then this will be all ready for us to use when we are ready to put the card together. Hey, Sandy Graves, good to see you. Thank you, everyone, for joining me this morning. Try to get that on straight here. Sometimes there we go. All right. Hey, Carol, thanks for joining. And I don't have any ribbon to wrap around it, so I will just go ahead and finish it off and put this whole piece on the thick. I like the thick cardstock. This will be a thick card anyway with all the layers. All right. So there we have the basic all ready to go. Just a reminder, if you're just popping in, this is the card we are making, the one on the right with the real red heat embossing on the Glimmer paper. So the Glimmer paper that I'm using, hey, Polly, thanks so much for joining. This is the old olive Glimmer paper. It is part of the Berry Burst white and old olive pack. There are currently 4 different packages of Glimmer paper that you could access from Stampin' Up! To heat emboss. So that's what we're doing, is heat embossing that today. So there is my tree. I need my tongs. And then I am using Stampin' Up's the Wow Opaque Bright Regular embossing powder. Hey, Beth, thanks for popping in. And now, when Sarah did this, she stated that we did not need to use the embossing buddy because of the makeup of that Glimmer paper. So I haven't been, and I'm not, and it seems to work really well. Hey, Dana, thanks for joining. So I have my sentiment, we wish you a Merry Christmas, all on my block, and I'm going to ink that up with Versamark. That's the ink that you would use to heat emboss with. All right, so I've got that inked up, and then it's hard to see, and once I press down evenly and firmly, I just have to, and sometimes heat embossing takes practice as well, so don't be discouraged if you have some scrap embossing scraps of, what am I trying to say, Glimmer paper. Try it on that before you get a big sheet like that. So I have my white embossing powder just on a paper plate because it folds up. Hey, Zach, thanks for joining this morning. I have that all loaded and it's all ready to go. So then we just need to heat emboss it. I'm going to use my little tongs, and just give me a sec. You'll hear some heat noise, but let's watch it emboss. And there we go. I do have to say that it is a little harder on Glimmer paper to actually see if you've heated it all evenly. It can also, if you are on there too long, because you can't tell, it does make a little burn mark. So we had some trial and error in class last week, but that's what it just takes practice sometimes. Yes, Dana, it's just the heat embossing is one of the most magical and fun techniques that we can do with our cards. So that's just ready to go. I mean, how super simple, and it just packs a wow. I am going to be certain to put a lot of dimensionals on because, well, I don't know. Do I use my joke that I always say in class? No sagging allowed. I'm guessing that one's getting a little old, but sometimes I have a new audience. So I'll just, and maybe this is excessive, but I do really like, I really want that to be center front on the card. So, and dimensionals are a reasonable item. You get a whole bunches. All right, so that's kind of where, now we need some embellishment. And I have those cherry cobbler berries. And I thought, you know, the three that are all hooked together is perfect for this. And so while in class, while I was showing some new techniques, hey, Julie, thanks for joining. I brought out a product that I had purchased, but I had never used. And that is going to be the enamel or pearlized enamel effects basics. So you have a package of 3. There's real red, black, and white. So I got my real red out. I could also color some gems with my Stampin' Blends, and I've done that before, but I kind of wanted to show everyone really how easy it is to use these. You just have to go easy on the squeeze bottle, and you have to be sure to let them dry. So I just going to make a little dot, and when it dries, it looks like an embellishment. So you could also put drops of these on your a silicone craft sheet and make your own little embellishments as well. So that is the pearlized enamel effects. That's red. And then the red comes with the black and the white, and there's also a silver, copper, and gold collection as well. So that I'm going to have to set that aside and let it dry. But it is all ready to go as a Christmas card. So you can see the finished ones here. I did use the dots. That was my real red, and then this is cherry cobbler. So either one works. So there you have it. Hey Carol, thanks so much for popping in. We just did some heat embossing on Glimmer paper, showing what a wow it is, it just packs a punch. And you can see more details in the measurements on my blog at kimplayswithpaper.com. But thank you, everyone, for joining me. I hope you're encouraged to try this. I'd love to see what stamp sets and Glimmer paper you're using, because it could be a whole variety of things. And it doesn't even have to be holiday, but it just seems to work well because we like the glimmer and glitz for the holidays. So thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, week, and weekend, and we will see you next time. Until then, happy stamping, everyone. Bye-bye.